G'day, it's Joel Rasmussen from Southern Cross Combat, and I'm here at an undisclosed location. Typically, we do across the ditch. Paddy is participating in a Train Alter program. He is putting all his effort into that. So instead, we're doing across the street. We're talking with the great Sam Marles. Sam, I thank you for joining me today. How are you today?
I'm good. Yeah, it's a pleasure pleasure to be on. It's a big, massive card coming up, so I'm looking forward to talk about some of these fights, and I'm glad you could fit me in as a second option.
Of course, bro. I appreciate. I thank you for being okay with that. You know, you are the man who shut down the project.
Yeah,
they got you on, and then they were like, "There we go, we've peaked."
Yeah.
So maybe this will be the last episode. Maybe we will also peak.
I think I look very different to that day on the project. I had
Yeah.
two nasty black eyes, so
Yeah.
at least I got a good makeup job with you, and we'll get this done.
I'm no Waleed Ali, and this is no the project, but nonetheless, we're going to talk fights. We're going to talk about Eternal 98 taking place this weekend from Southport Sharks on the Gold Coast. And before we go anywhere, and before we talk about any of the fights, I think we need to talk about the breaking news that Corey Sutcliffe versus Jake Piper is off.
Yeah, which is super disappointing. I was looking forward to that fight. I think everyone's looking forward to seeing Jake get out there because he's got a hell of a reputation and puts on bangers every time. And I think this was going to be a good fight. I think their styles were going to mesh quite well. And disappointing not to get to see Jake do his thing.
Very rough. I totally agree. I really do think those styles were going to mesh really well. They were meant to fight once before. It was meant to be Jake's pro debut, and Corey had to pull out with an injury there. You're a man who is not... You're not a stranger to an opponent pulling out.
Yeah.
You know, there was a bit of a string there where a fight was meant to happen and it just kept not happening. What are the emotions that come with that? How do you feel? You know, you've been there before. Obviously, never good.
Yeah.
But it's a couple days out. What do you think Jake's thinking?
It's going to be different person to person. I'm sure it's going to be mainly bitter. There'll be a moment of sweetness of like not having to do the weight cut, and I'm sure he's you're at the peak of the weight cut, but then he's going to eat and he's not going to get the satisfaction, not going to feel like he earned it, and it can be quite disappointing. Sometimes it feels like as a fighter when it rains it pours. It's like you get one pull out and then it's just like momentum builds, but yeah, he's going to be pretty disappointed, but he's going to still be healthy, and I'm sure he's going to get back into the gym straight away and help his teammates on the night. And but it's a very weird feeling, to be honest.
Yeah, I could not imagine it feels good, especially, it's a real medical issue. I'm not putting anything on Corey specifically, but this is the second time they've been booked. It becomes a thing of where you're like, hey man, do we maybe just not do this? Yeah. Maybe we'll just see each other later.
Maybe third time's a charm.
Yeah, that is always a possibility. I know I definitely would want to see it.
Yeah.
But there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 fights on the main card. We know there's now 7. I counted Jake just then.
Yeah.
There are 7 fights on the main card that we'll be talking about, plus some stuff on the prelims, the Amis that we're going to look at. And we will start with John Aiello taking on Perry Smith in the bantamweight division. 2 debutantes going against each other. John Aiello had an amateur record, I believe, in 6-1, I believe. First fight was a loss to Jake Piper that we were just talking about, and then put 6 together. Could not tell you Perry's record off the top of my head.
I think he's 5-2.
I was gonna say, I think it's like 5-2. It's like something around there. I'm really looking forward. I always like seeing a debutant versus a debutant.
Yeah, interesting match because they're both guys that you could probably build up and you might look to get them easier fights starting off. So it's interesting to have them matched against each other early like this, which is great for the fans. They've actually got from what I see, they've got quite similar styles. They both got pretty solid, sound striking and like to grapple. They both look like they want to mix it up, and I can really see this going either way. I think whoever kind of dictates the show, whoever's the one mixing it up first. Like I imagine John's going to get in there and try to impose his striking, get to his grapple, and push him against the cage. But Perry's going to try to do the same thing, really. So it's interesting. I would say John probably has the better resume. Just seems to have fought tougher competition on the way up. So I think that'll hold him in good stead coming into this fight. But I think, the jury's out on how good Perry Smith is, and I'm looking forward to this one.
I'm really looking forward to this one. as it's a theme on all of these things, it's always cool when you see a debutant versus a debutant, because although it's, it's kind of similar, and especially if they're up in Queensland, they're in the 4 ounces and no shinnies for their amateurs. It, like, putting the elbows in really makes it completely different.
It's different, and more than the elbows, I think they're both going to be feeling a new wave of nerves. Like, they're kind of you settle into your amateur career, and then there's always nerves before a fight, but you kind of start to get used to it, and then you know what to expect. But they're both going to get a new rush of nerves as they turn pro, knowing that the result matters now, whether they win or lose, and one of them is going to, push forward, and losing your first pro fight feels like you had a great amateur career, but now it feels like you're behind the 8 ball from the start. It's like it really is a fresh birth.
It is a rough thing of that. I have this like conspiracy theory in my head that, and there are exceptions that prove a rule, but like, if you have like a kind of mixed amateur career, I feel like that sets you up well for pro. And then there are people who have great amateur careers and then they kind of shit the bed when they go pro. Yeah. So the fact that both of the, like, someone's in both ways, on both sides of the score, someone's O has got to go. Like, someone will end 1-0 and someone will end 0-1. It's like, I don't actually want to see either of these guys lose.
The only good thing though is because they are fighting. I mean, I think when you fight, you have a great amateur career and then you fight someone you're supposed to beat. That also comes with extra nerves. But because they're both fighting guys with, who are highly touted, probably takes a little bit of sting out of the loss. Obviously, depending on how it goes. I mean, if they have a really competitive fight on a big platform, it still puts them in a good position moving forward, whatever happens.
Just giving a quick glance at the pro card here. There is no one that immediately comes to mind, unless I'm wrong, and we come up to it in a second. ALO, the last man from TFC to make the walk from the night. There's a couple of boys on the amateurs, but I think he's the last man repping Fight Centre Brisbane, who will make the walk on the night. And Perry Smith repping Igor MMA.
Yeah, both good gyms.
Yeah, 2 great gyms that I'm really looking forward to that matchup. I think that's a great card opener.
Yeah, a State of Origin opener.
Actually, full State of Origin in Queensland.
And then it's Louis Tran and Luke Melrose next.
Yes, that is up next.
Louis obviously trains at Absolute. They also have very similar styles, so I can see this. They're both kind of boxing heavy, grappling styles. Luke in his last fight fought the guy from ATT, and to be honest, super impressive because in that first round he was getting, the guy came out with very, very hot, was putting a ton of pressure on him, was doing damage, and that can be really hard to come back from. And he showed a lot of heart, a lot of grit, and that's always makes a tough guy to beat. So Melrose is going to be really hard to get out of there, and I think the exact same thing for Louis. They're both, I think their styles could produce a really, really exciting fight, to be honest.
We talked about it just before when the 2 debutantes were going at it. We don't really want to see either guy lose. And you mentioned about starting your pro career off with a loss. Obviously, never good. You never want to lose in a fight. No. But Louis is a guy who started the pro career off on a loss. So he's coming in maybe with more of a chip on his shoulder.
100%.
He's got something to prove.
Yeah, and I think Louis, I think Louis might be fighting from a different place. I don't think Louis is, I don't know what his aspirations are going forward, but I know he, at one point, probably thought he was never going to fight again. He's copped a pretty serious injury in a fight as an amateur and probably thought he was never going to fight again. So I think just being on such a big stage like this is going to be a massive bonus for him. And I expect a really, really high level performance from Louis. He's been training, very, very hard, like impressively hard, to be honest.
There is something I think that comes with that in a recent video that went up where I spoke to Danielle Curtis. She talked about she entered a fight thinking it was going to be her last fight. She talked about you approach it completely differently. If Louis now entering fights where he's like not necessarily any fight could be my last, but like I didn't even think I'd make it this far. So let's ride this thing. Let's see how hard we can push it. That's a completely different mindset to a guy who's like, "Ooh, don't lose, don't lose, don't lose, don't lose, don't lose."
And I think Luke is on debut, right?
Yes,
as
he's
a
making
professional.
his debut after going 5-1 as an amateur.
That comes with a lot of pressure, and but again, it's just this is a clash of styles. They basically got the same style, so it's just going to be who can do it better. But I think probably more pressure is going to be on Luke making his pro debut, feeling the pressure of needing to win. In fact, funnily enough, I actually think Luke has almost a similar story in that he had a bad neck protrusion before his first amateur fight. So he's probably in some ways feeling the same way. Like he's just a bonus, but just a bonus to be out there.
Yeah.
And he said he had his eyes set out on having a pro career before he even had his first amateur. So two guys with a lot of heart. This will be a good one.
Yes, and Luke fighting out the great CMBT in Queensland, and of course Louis fighting out of the great Absolute MMA.
Yeah, where's the nickname Double Shot come from?
Oh, that's a really good question.
Does he like coffee, or is it? Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Maybe.
Have you ever seen Zombieland?
No, I haven't.
Okay, there's a rule in Zombieland called double tap, where it's like if you shoot someone, you have to shoot them again to make sure they're dead.
Okay.
It's kind of like a double shot. Not really.
That makes sense. That's cool.
Maybe I'll ask him. Maybe
Yeah.
I'll go to the weigh-ins and I'll go, hey man, I know you're dying because you're cutting weight, but I really need to know. The people demand answers.
Yes.
So I think I will. I'll have to bother him and ask him. Coming up next on the card, we have Zach O'Brien and Nikita Laptevich. I am so sorry because there's not a chance that I got that correct.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, another lot of guys making pro debuts.
Yeah. They're both on debut.
Yes, both on debut. So there are a lot of guys. We're seeing this next wave of guy come up. We had this conversation ahead of your last fight, where it felt like your last fight was to establish the next guy, like the next. If we're looking at it in terms of tiers of like lower card, mid card, upper card, that fight that you had last was to establish the next main card guy, the next guy who could be in line for a belt. I feel like now we're getting the next group of guys who are on the early card. You know what I mean?
For sure, and I think that comes from the growth of the amateur scene, because now we kind of know where guys stand. Once you've had, especially in MMA, it's not like boxing. Amateur boxing is a different sport to professional boxing, so it's hard to know where guys really stand once they make the move. But amateur MMA is as close. I mean, in Queensland, it is the same thing, just on a different time. So you get guys. I mean, I think Zach had something like maybe seven amateurs, and I think maybe the same. I think they both had 7 amateurs. So you really know where guys stand coming out of the amateurs. So it really only takes 2, 3, 4 fights to put yourself in that picture towards titles and whatnot. This is a very interesting fight as well. Now we've got 2 different styles. Zach O'Brien being a knockout artist. I mean, his last fight was against on Eternal against Bailey Raich, and they just sat there and started swinging at each other, and he came out victorious, and he clearly has a lot of power. It's hard to know how the rest of his game stacks up. I mean, I think the fight he had before that was a couple years. He took a little bit of a break. So it'll be interesting to see how his grappling holds up, and Nikita tends to lean towards his grappling and has some nice, some slick submission finishes. I saw he had a really nice arm finish against Jesse Murray. So I think this will really be, can Nikita get a hold of him, get it to the ground, or is Zach going to land a bomb and probably a quick finish?
This is something we'll talk about a bit later when we get to like the co-main. This is kind of something I want to discuss there. But I think talking about the way the scene is moving and the growth and kind of the flow of it all, I feel like it's important to mention here. There is no featherweight crown in Eternal at the moment. Seb Saleh is off in the finale of the Road to UFC. That creates a vacuum and it creates opportunity. And although these are 2 guys who are making a pro debut, I'm not going to say after this throw them in for a title or anything like that, but I'm saying it creates an opportunity for something big to happen, to establish yourself as what we were talking before about, like, do something big and be like, hey man, there is no belt right now.
Yeah.
When the belt eventually comes back, whether it be Seb coming back or him completely vacating it, I need to be that guy who is fighting for it.
Yeah.
And I really think that is something that these guys should approach, because there are only certain weight classes that have those opportunities, and featherweight is one of those weight classes where there is kind of no king at the moment.
For sure, and I think you've seen guys get put into title shots very early in their career and be successful and put on great performances. So I think if you are, if you're Cam right now, you're not going to hesitate to put a young guy in who you think has a good reputation and a good skill set and put him into a fight like that. So if you can put on a massive performance against a tough opponent, I don't think it matters too much your record. Obviously, you want to be in the positive, and
maybe a bit more than one and a.
Yeah, you want.
I'm not going to put that pressure on them. I'm going to be like, you boys are going for a title next.
You want to be in the positive, and you want to have a little bit of a streak going. But if you can show your skill set and this is a big stage, I think you'll see guys get moved into those shots pretty quickly. But there is a lot of talent at featherweight. To be honest, that's a good division in Australia.
Moving up the card to the man, the young, black and sexy Mr. Adnan Larry are taking on Danny Hartwell. Do you train with Adnan, or is it
I try not to.
Yeah.
I try to avoid him as much as possible. But no, we do some rounds together. He kind of like babies me through it a little bit. He's so big. I mean, honestly, he's so big. It's scary standing in front of him. Sometimes he leg kicks me, and I think if he actually went for that, he'd probably just go straight through my leg. But yeah, he's so big. But he's probably in the best shape I've ever seen him right now. We've been pushing him hard, and the thing about the heavyweight, it's so hard to find training partners for these guys. So it makes it, when you see him in there against another heavyweight, it's like the first time you've seen him for a little while against another heavyweight. But no, I think to be honest, I don't know a heap about Danny. I tried to look at his fights. I saw he fought on Cage Warriors last. From what I heard, he's a wrestler. So I think it's kind of going to be striker versus wrestler. And I just think I'm obviously going to be picking Larry. I mean, Larry's he's such a good striker for his size, and
he's got such slick grappling. That's the thing I didn't realise until I spoke to him before the last one. He's like, I prefer grappling. And I'm like, how, bro? How? No heavyweight prefers grappling.
No, he honestly is a really good. I mean, he competed at CJI. Yeah. And he actually did quite well there. I think he lost a very close decision. I hate grappling with him. That's like my worst fear. He's grappling with Larry when he gets on top of me. But he's constantly wrestling, grappling. I think everyone, when he walks into the room, when you do jiu-jitsu, there's always one guy, and I'm sure Larry, he rocks up late, as he does, rocks up late to get to the rolls, and I'm sure everyone on the mat looks over and goes, oh, fuck.
He's here.
Yeah.
Talking about the size difference, the last time I was in Absolute, I had this conversation. I can't remember who it was with. I don't know if it was with Harry or not. But they were talking about, because there is like one heavyweight that he does training with. I don't know that guy's name.
We got Freddie, who's a big boy. We've got Freddie. We got Zach, who we call Thor. I might be missing someone. But yeah, I think you might be thinking of Freddie.
I'll use Freddie as the example. I don't know if this is actually what got said to me, like if it was Freddie. But the size difference between Larry and Freddie, or the weight difference, is like 40 kilos.
Yeah.
And he's like, but no one thinks that because we are both big guys.
Yeah.
He's like, but if I was going with someone who is 40 kilos lighter than me, everyone would think that I'm this like horrible bully. But everyone's like, Larry and Freddie go together. He's like, he's 40 kilos heavier than me, dude.
Yeah, nah.
So even at heavy, there's still some big size difference.
Well, you're not going to find, you're just not going to find many people Freddie's size. Like, honestly, it's absurd. I mean, I think there's like 60 kilos difference between us at times. He's an exceptionally big person. Used to be a powerlifter as well, so he's not. It's not as if he lacks any strength too. Like, I would say for his size, he's particularly strong.
Moving on next, Jake Piper versus Corey Sutcliffe, which is now off the card. We move on to Lonnie Philly Mohala taking on Quinlan Kelly, which I believe I pronounced that correctly because I always in my head go, it's not Quillan because Quillan's someone else. It's just Quinn Kelly on Tapology, but I think it's Quinlan. Yeah. Maybe I sound like his mother, calling him by his full name. Lonnie coming in with a record of 2-1. Quinn coming in with a record of 1-1. Quinn's last fight, that was that big victory over Farhood. Yes, that was hectic, dude. Those were some bad elbows. That was scary. I remember I was at home, I did a reaction stream to that. And I was like, oh my God, he's dead.
Yeah. No, this is a great fight. I think Quinn, I love to watch Quinn. I think he's got fantastic hands. He's very balanced. I think, this is going to be, I think on the feet, they're going to be at a pretty similar level. I'm not sure, but I think Lonnie's obviously got great grappling. He's a great wrestler, and I think Lonnie is going to look to push the grappling as much as he can. And then I think on the feet, it's going to be a very competitive fight, an exciting fight. I think they've both got their style. Like, I think Lonnie and Quinn probably both favour their hands, and if it ends up on the feet, they're going to be at that range where anyone can get slept at any time. But I think it'll be interesting because, obviously I think Fahud caught Quinn's kick and he looked exceptionally balanced and was actually able to land a shot. So I think it'll be interesting to see how well Quinn's wrestling defense holds up against a guy like Lonnie. But I think this has potential to be fight of the night.
Lonnie was so slick in that fight against Declan Wolfenden. How quickly he got to the back, getting the hooks in and getting the rear naked choke. I was like blown away.
Yeah,
I was like, oh my gosh.
And Declan is no slouch, he's a brown belt in jiu-jitsu, trains at a very good academy. To do that to a guy at that level is speaks volumes of where his grappling's at. So I'm very interested to see how this plays out.
And I think it's important to mention, although it hasn't happened between the last fight and this fight for Lonnie, but obviously Lonnie coming in off a big win over Declan Wolfenden, great win, great performance, but also in between the Declan fight and the Owen loss, he went off to Gamma. So he got to have more experience in between then. So he's a guy who, when you look at it, he's not just coming in with, he lost 2 fights ago, now he won his last fight. He's actually had 3 fights between the Owen fight.
I mean, honestly, Lonnie's probably one of the most experienced guys on the scene. As an amateur to pro, I think he's done maybe, I could be wrong about this, but I think he's probably done 3 or 4 IMAFs, and then he's done Gamma. So this is a guy who likes to fight and likes to fight often. And he's fought, everyone he's fought is tough guys. Like Owen is a very tough guy, and that was a competitive. I think that was at middleweight too. He went up in weight, and that was a back and forth banger. To be honest, of 2 guys probably trying to grapple that ended up on the feet, and then he looked like he leveled up even more going into that Declan fight. So yeah, this is going to be I'm really, really interested to see how this one plays out.
And that will bring us to our co-main event of the evening of Taser, the Machine Malone, taking on Lockjaw, Justin Van Heerden, in what I think is a very interesting fight for the scene and I think for Taser. I've spoken to Justin ahead of this fight. This is no insult to Taser. This is no discreditation to Taser. If anything, it may be to Taser's credit that he's willing to take this not risk, challenge. But the things that Seb did well against Taser in their fight, I think Justin also does incredibly well. Justin is that grappling guy. That's out of freestyle, that's Justin. That's Justin's style. He's a staple of the scene. So this is something that Justin and I spoke about, where he's like, bold choice to take a fight against the same gym with a similar and harder style.
Yeah, I think they have similar styles. I think they're both going to be trying to do the same thing, and it's going to be, does Taser's youth and aggression and cardio. Taser's got exceptional cardio. He's proved that pretty much in all of his fights.
He's the machine for a reason.
Yeah, he really is. And he's great to watch. Not many grapplers who are as exciting to watch as Taser is. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think this is. I don't think this is as big a risk as you might think. I think Taser's definitely up to it. And you're talking about the title picture at featherweight. I think this is going to answer a lot of questions as to who's next in line. But yeah, I think I think Taser's youth, the cardio, the strength is going to be a lot for Van Heerden. But will Van Heerden's experience, reps in big fights like this hold up? And they're really at completely different stages in their career. Taser's very much on the come up, and Van Heerden has been a staple at the top for a while now. So, every fight on this card is really good. This is another one of those fights where it's just 2 guys with pretty much the same style going to try to do the same thing. Who's going to do it better? Will it be his youth, or will it be the that veteran experience that holds up?
it wouldn't surprise me either if, because both the guys have similar styles, if this ends up being who's better on the feet then.
Yeah,
All right, listen,
I agree.
if I can't get you down and you can't get me down, there's only one way this is getting settled.
Yeah,
You know?
agreed. And I think if it does stay on the feet, I think maybe Van Heerden, technically, like if you watch from the outside, you might think Van Heerden has maybe technically prettier style, but I think Taser is more damaging. Like I think Taser's going to go in there, and I think when Taser hits you, it hurts.
I was going to say, I wouldn't put my hand up to stand across from anyone, but Taser's a scary man.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
And never forget when he climbed over the fence into the cage instead of walking through the door.
Yeah, that's got to be frightening, right?
Because it's Taser. I went, why did you do that? And he went, I don't know. And I was like, sounds like you, bro.
I like it. I hope he does it again, to be honest.
I know, right? Oh, he has to up it.
That should be his thing.
He just climbs over every time. It should be his gimmick.
And I used to love, what was his old nickname?
Bad to the bone.
Oh, that's
Taser,
the best
bad to the bone,
dude.
Malone. You're not the only person who said that to me. I was actually debating.
Dude, that's the best nickname. But hey, the machine's good, but bad to the bone was sick.
Bad to the bone was very sick. I did like that. And before we move on to the main event, we want to do the amateur spotlight. There's things on the prelims that we want to mention. I know there was a fight you were licking your chops at. You were like, this is going to be sick.
Yeah. So I think the one to watch on the amateur show, I mean, there's heaps of good amateur fights, to be honest, but is Bailey Raich versus Callum Baird. Callum Baird coming off a fight of the night performance against another guy who's on this card, Solari.
Oh, yes, I remember that fight. That fight was sick.
Yeah, they had an absolute cracker.
Yes.
And these are two young athletic guys, both on the come up, both fairly new, and again with fairly similar styles. Like they're both going to want to, they're both kind of hand heavy guys. I was very impressed with Callum's boxing. I mean, obviously, and I went up and went to Oasis and trained with Bailey, and was also very impressed with the level he's at for how long he's been training. So I think this is going to be a bang. I think honestly, if I had to put a bet on it, I think this would be fight of the night for the whole card. For the amateur and the pros, I think this mesh of styles is going to be just straight fireworks.
It's always sick, especially as two Melbourne boys, you and I. 4 ounces and no shinnies is always like, oh my God. Like, it's always hectic at amateur for me. Anytime I go up there, I always go, this is disgusting, bro. What are we doing here? Are there any laws here? What is this place?
No, it is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Anytime you see a young amateur going up to Queensland, you know they're pretty legit.
Yes.
If you're down to fight, I mean, it's as close to, I mean, it is the real thing. Like, you can take as much damage in an amateur fight up in Queensland as you can in a professional fight. So, it's honestly pretty insane that they do it and that they're allowed to do it. But I love it as a fan. And I think this fight in particular has got damage written all over it.
I would be very interested to see if the great John Martin Fraser will be there, because he's fighting...
He fights tomorrow night.
I'm going to say tomorrow night. So I'd be interested to see if he makes it back in time to corner.
Yeah. I mean, knowing John, it probably depends how the fight goes, but knowing him, I'd assume he probably will be racing to get back. But it's just whether there's enough time to do it.
Well, I wonder if at this point, is this Bailey's first fight out of Oasis as it is Oasis?
No, I think it's his second fight.
Out of Oasis actually being open?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, still, you want to be there for the early steps. You want to be there for your first fighters going out and making the walk. So hopefully we see John. I'd like to see John.
Yeah, no, it'd be
always good to see him. Say good day. Say good day to John.
But this one's going to be a cracker.
Yes, I'm very much looking forward to it. Which that will bring us to our main event of the evening of David Martinez taking on Matt Vale. Australia versus New Zealand. Welterweight versus welterweight. Staple of welterweight versus staple of lightweight, who has moved up to welterweight. I am I don't want to use the word stumped, but man, this fight really does intrigue me.
Yeah, agreed. Again, this is a clash of styles. I think Matt's going to try to keep it on the feet and do damage, and Martinez's game plan is going to be pretty clear. He's going to try to get a hold of him, take him down, and he's one of the best at it in the division or even on the scene. So, I really won't be surprised either way. Yeah. Like, I won't be surprised if Martinez gets a hold of him and dominates him. Probably maybe similar to how Kit went about it against Vale. But I also won't be surprised if Vale uses movement. He's got great movement. sort of karate style movement, and he's able to keep himself on the feet and do damage there.
In a way, for Martinez, I feel, and this is nothing against Brenton Mumford, but this is now he came up and he had the fight against Brenton at welterweight, but Brenton was coming in off time off.
Yeah.
He had the fight against Costello. I don't know Costello. I don't know if he's good. I don't know if he's bad. I don't know anything about him.
I don't know anything about him. I just know that he sucked like a...
Yeah, and then he was like, I had a cold.
Yeah, which was,
Well, that might be an insight to character. I don't know.
Yeah, agreed.
But the point being is I know how good Vale is in general, and I know how good Vale is as a welterweight. So I feel like, I don't want to be unfair to David, but and not to say he's not a guy who has not proved himself time and time again. But, all right, this is now a welterweight who is active, and I know how good he is.
Yeah.
Now this is okay, cool, now let's see what's going on here,
I do think this is his first real test against a real welterweight. I mean, Costello was a big guy, to be fair, so...
How good was he? We don't know.
We don't know. He's not on the scene. We know Matt Vale is good, and we know he's a well-sized welterweight. This is absolutely his division, and he's fought high caliber guys at this weight class. So I think this will be his first test against someone at this standard, at this weight class. Because I think Brenton could probably make... Sorry if this isn't true, but I think he could probably make lightweight. I think he has fought at lightweight a few times. So I would say they're probably a similar size, Martinez and Mumford.
Yeah, and it would have been because they had fought before.
Oh, there you go.
And so I have to assume that was at lightweight from my memory. But yeah, that's one I'm very much looking forward to. There's a reason Matt Vale's a multi-time champion. There's a reason David Martinez is a multi-time champion.
Yeah.
It's I'm very interested to see how that one goes.
Who are you picking?
I don't do picks because I have to see the people afterwards, and then I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings.
That's fair.
Who are you picking?
I'm going to go with Martinez. I think Martinez is going to take it. I think he's going to get a hold of him, and it's going to be a similar fight to Kit, but we'll see.
I guess we will see. Sam, I really appreciate you for having me in the undescript location. You have opened up the couch to me, and I really do appreciate it.
The casting couch.
Yeah, of course, bro. There's less stains on it than I would once assume, so I appreciate you getting the bleach out, the Jif.
No, it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure to be your second option for across the street. Hopefully did all right job. I mean, I love the scene. I love talking martial arts. I love this shit. So it's a pleasure to do it.
And I'll see you next week for Eternal 99.
Yeah, let's go. Good job.